and finance Saturday, and it's been Saturday, so it's 15 hours, and I'm like, and Jane Austen.
All right, we're good.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. Let's call this meeting to order. Today is January 14th. This is KIPTA TTCC meeting, first one this new year. Welcome everybody and thank you for joining us. Andy, would you please do roll call?
I sure will. Who do we have from Boulder County?
Keith Griffey and Judge Summers.
Thank you guys for joining us. City of Charlestown. City of Jeffersontown. Matt Meunier had a death in his family, so he's tending to that today. So lots of prayers with Matt. City of Jeffersonville. City of Mount Washington. New Albany. Shepherdsville. St. Matthews. We'll find a winner here. Clark County.
Present.
Hi, Brian. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
NDOT Public Transportation. Bob. NDOT Seymour Division. Seymour District.
Julie's here.
Hi, Julie.
Haley's here also.
Hi, Haley. Do we have any NDOT Technical Planning Program meeting? Let's go back to City of Mount Washington. I see Mayor Owen. Hi, Mayor.
Hello, how are you? Yes,
Good.
Mount Washington is here. Don is here with me. So
Okay,
yeah.
great. Happy New Year to you guys.
You as well.
Kentucky DAQ.
Claire's here.
See Claire's name. She just popped on.
Yeah,
Popped
she
on?
just popped on.
Okay, we'll give Claire the little check mark here. KYTC District 5.
Carmel.
Tom. Anybody else on from District 5 today? Does it? Do we have anybody from KYTC Central Office? Kip is here. KYTC Transportation Delivery. Really not. Louisville Metro Air Pollution Control District.
I'm here because of planner and she's in week-long training.
All right, thank you for joining us, Steve. So Planner O'Neill, she's in training. She said she wouldn't be here today. Thank you for standing in, Steve. Louisville Metro Economic Development. Louisville Metro Planning and Design.
Yeah, Brian Davis is here.
Hi, Brian. Louisville Metro Public Works.
Present. Mark Knoll is here.
Hello, Mark. Louisville Regional Airport Authority.
Here, Daryl Watson.
Hi, Daryl. Louisville Riverport Authority. I think Miguel said he was going to miss today's meeting as well. So we'll see Miguel next month, hopefully. Oldham County.
Jim Silverman here.
So Jim. Oldham County Planning Commission.
Actually, Glass is also online.
Oh, okay. Thank you for joining us, Bo.
You just tuned.
Oldham County Planning Commission.
Anna Bark.
Thank you for joining us, Anna. Court of Indiana. TARC Accessibility Advisory Council. Town of Clarksville. And last but not least, TARC.
Thank you.
And it looks like we have Rob Monsman on the line also.
Yes.
And then
Nick Creed.
and Jeffrey's on the line. So Jeffrey and Rob are also with TARC. And then who'd you say?
Nick Creed.
Nick from Floyd County. Nick, thank you for joining us. Happy New Year. And did I miss anybody in the room or online? I don't think so. So thank you all for joining us. Aida just mentioned how big of a crowd. It's bigger crowd than we've seen in a while. So thank you all for joining us and look forward to a good meeting and a good year of TTCC this year.
Thank you, Andy. We have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is November TTCC meeting minutes, review and approval. I hope you all had a moment to review. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jim. Any discussion? Hearing done. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Thank you very much. Motion carries. The next item is Transportation Policy Committee report, review of the November TPC meeting, and we will bring us Pass today.
I sure can. We gotta go back in time a little bit, though. That meeting was way back in November of 2025, November 25th, 2025. Some of you all were there, but for those that weren't, I'll kind of summarize that. This is a meeting that we host, each year. We used to call it the annual meeting. Now it's just kind of a little bit more of a bigger event that for November. This meeting was held over at the Jeffersonian. It was hosted by the city of J-Town over at the Jeffersonian, the former J-Town, Community Center. That meeting's agenda really matched our agenda, that month. We talked about the call for projects, recommendations and those project awards. The update to our what was formerly known as our environmental justice document, currently now known as transportation environmental impact areas. Greg brought the public participation plan update for that month's meetings. And then what was unique to that meeting, that we didn't talk about in TTCC was that November TPC meeting is usually when we award the KITE Award, Kentucky Indiana Transportation Excellence Award. And so this past year, that award went to Louisville Metro government for the East Market Streetscape project. So they were the 2025 recipients of that award. So Greg put together a good presentation that showcased the projects, the nominees, some good nominees this year. So look forward to some good nominees later this year. So with that concludes that TPC report.
Thank you, Andy. Public comment period, Greg will facilitate review of any public comments submitted prior to TPCC meeting.
Yes, so we had a public comment submitted. It is quite lengthy, so we'll try to just hit kind of the bullet points. And then afterwards, I will send this out to everybody so you all can review, to all the committee members. I'm also gonna bring it up here on screen, just so you all know. This was submitted by Brian McAllister. He is a Clifton resident. He is respectfully submitted for inclusion in the public record. It says, thank you for the opportunity to submit comments regarding the current US 42 two-way conversion projects on Story Avenue, Melwood Avenue, and the associated segments of Main Street. Writing to note several technical concerns with the currently proposed area of potential effect and the segmentation approach being used during section 106 review. The intent is not to oppose the project, but to ensure the federal review process is based on a complete and accurate understanding of where effects originate and how they propagate through the local network. So he has like six main points here. His first one is the relevant geometric discontinuity lies inside the active project footprint. His second main point is the proposed APE does not include the area where the effect is experienced. The third one is Kentucky's own section 106 guidelines reinforce this requirement. Project segmentation cannot limit federal review obligations. Number 5 is section 4F obligations are automatically triggered once Clifton is with the APE. And the final one is the requested consideration by TTCC. So I'll bring that up right here. Says TTCC is not responsible for conducting section 106 or 4F reviews. However, the MPO and its technical committees play an essential role in ensuring project documentation reflects actual network behavior, identifying segmentation issues that affect regional planning, and ensuring the federal review proceed with a complete and accurate planning context. Given the clear relationship between the discontinuity inside the active project area and the downstream impacts to a national registered district, I respectfully ask the TTC to 1, acknowledge that the proposed APE does not capture the full effect of the area consistent with federal and state guidelines, and 2, recommend that KYTC reevaluate the APE to include the Clifton Historic District so that SHPO may assess any indirect effects appropriately. This does not presuppose any outcomes of the review. It simply ensures the process is aligned with existing federal and Kentucky standards. Thank you for your time and consideration. Like I said, I will send this out to all the committee members. If anyone has any responses they would like to provide, obviously after the meetings, we put up the public comments that we receive on our website, and we will add any responses from the committee to that as well. But that is the one that we did receive.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Would it be reasonable to have I guess whoever's reviewing that section 106 provide a response to those and give those to the TPCC so we all have the same?
And we have Tom
Yeah, yes, that's chair, that's your prerogative.
Yes, of course.
Sure.
Yes, please.
Approach.
Absolutely.
Anticipate doing this and here as Missouri, but I've been hired, Tom Springer with GK4. And we've been hired by Kentucky Transportation Cabinet to manage the section 106 process for that very project, to which those comments are submitted, all 117 pages of them. And we have drafted a response to those on behalf of the cabinet, and it's being reviewed at the cabinet. It's their responsibility to respond, Mr. McAllister, but they have taken those into account, and that's underway, so. There's a group working on it.
Thank you. Now we have the answers.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good point. Thank you. Okay, item number 5 is a great news that U of L has been named a top 100 bicycle friendly university. So we have Justin Mogg here remotely with University of Louisville, and he will discuss with us how the university became so friendly and logistic for that process. Justin?
Great, thank you so much. Hello, friends. Wonderful to be here and to share this great news with you. I'm happy to take some questions, maybe based on logistics of trying to present virtually at the end. But let me proceed to share with you some of the reasons why we were named one of the top 100 bike-friendly universities in the country. Just to frame this, we started down this road in about 2010. We started planning for it, and in 2013, it was the first year we were awarded bike-friendly university status by the League of American Bicyclists, which, if you're not familiar, is the oldest bike advocacy organization in the nation. We have reapplied every time we're up for recertification. And now this is the 4th time that we've been officially recognized as a bike-friendly university, and it's good for 4 years. So every time we do it, we've been nominated at the silver. We've been recognized at the silver level. We are not the most bike-friendly university in the state of Kentucky. That honor goes to our friends down the road at University of Kentucky, who have invested a lot more resources in this than the University of Louisville has, unfortunately. But we can still be proud of what we're doing here at U of L. As you can see, here's some of the stats, the 204 bike-friendly universities around the country now. And at the silver level, we're in the top 100. But I wish there were more bike-friendly universities in Kentucky and in our region. That's important work that needs to continue. And then, of course, the context here is that the Bike Friendly University program is part of a Bike Friendly America program that the league does, of course. And shout out to our fair city of Louisville for being a bike-friendly university, a bike-friendly city, being recognized as a bike-friendly city. So this is a shot of the feedback report that we get from the league after we submit, with some of the basic stats there at the top. None of our numbers are that impressive, honestly. In fact, when I started here in 2009, we had a lot more people biking to campus than we do now. The main thing that changed was the introduction of electric scooters. At first, of course, those were the public electric scooter share, right? Programs. Nowadays, you see a lot of people investing in their own electric scooters. So most of our bike racks are filled now with scooters and a few bikes, of course. People are still biking, and I'll show you some more detailed numbers on that in a minute. Like any bike-friendly program, the Bike-Friendly University program is based on the 5 E's, engineering, right? Your infrastructure, education, what are you doing to educate people about safe and comfortable riding, and encouragement, what are you doing to spread the word, get people excited about biking, evaluation and planning, do you have a committee, do you have a plan, and then equity and accessibility, what are you doing to remove barriers to bicycling? So I'm not going to have time to discuss all of those things, but I'm going to touch on some of them today. So let me go back to 2010. And just to tell the full story here, at that point, we had a new campus master plan that had come out. Thankfully, that has been revised very more recently and updated without this problematic addiction to cars. So at the time, the thinking was business as usual. We need 3 more parking decks, and they're going to cost the university a whole lot. And the people at the university looked at those numbers and were frightened. What do we do? We can't afford that. Also, at the time in 2008, we had just made a carbon commitment, and we had to do our first greenhouse gas emissions reporting. And we discovered that a sizable chunk of our greenhouse gas emissions that we just pledged to reduce to 0 were due to commuting. And so what do we do about that? And then just as important, the American Fitness Index had come out, and it still comes out today. These numbers haven't changed too much. And Louisville's what? Way down, way down at the bottom of that fitness index, and other health rankings as well. So this is a storm of problems that nobody had thought about what to do about, right? And of course, we're in the context of Louisville. I always love sharing this slide to remind us of the context we're in. The red is surface parking, the purple is our parking decks. Our city's planning around cars has been very problematic for the safety, livability, walkability, bikeability of our urban core and surrounding areas like our main campus. So this is a citywide issue that, right, we can't just fix as the University of Louisville, but we also play a role in, right? The bigger context here is I'm not a bike ped coordinator. I am the sustainability director. I don't have one, right? So I have a personal passion about bikes. That's why we're paying any attention to them at all. I've been a lifelong bike commuter. At the age of 15, I decided I didn't want to participate in car culture, and I never got a driver's license. So I have been biking everywhere I need to go all my life. And coming to Louisville from places like Madison, Wisconsin, where I went to graduate school, and Arlington, Virginia, where I grew up, these are very bike-friendly places, right? And just places where you can live without a car very easily. It was quite a shock to see how invested Louisville was in car culture. And so, coming into this university and this role, I knew that, boy, promoting cycling, making cycling safer and easier for people, getting people out of their cars was an important part of what I'm going to do here. But it's just one piece of the sustainability puzzle. And when we scope out and look at the full campus sustainability scene, it's quite clear that actually U of L is the most sustainable school in Kentucky, according to the ASHE STARS rating, which captures cycling as just one of many, many things that we do, right? We're also recognized as a tree campus. You'll see us in Princeton Review's Guide to Green Colleges. We've won the campus race to zero waste 3 years in a row. So we're doing a lot of good things in sustainability, and this is just one piece of the work that supports all that. I also want to get back to our carbon commitment. This is something that drives our commitment to cycling, right? We've done incredible work in reducing the amount of energy we consume on campus, and that has meant we've cut our emissions in half since we made that commitment back in 2008. But only a very small portion of that could be attributable to what we've done around getting people out of their cars. In fact, we need to really start focusing more on that. So this is carbon emissions by source. And again, the commuting piece represents about 12% of our emissions as a university after all of these efficiency gains on campus, right? Every year we survey how people get to campus. And this is the latest numbers I have in graphical form to share with you. And you can see that biking to campus remains a small percentage of how people commute, 4% of students and about 2% of employees. Most everybody is still driving alone. But this was part of our climate action plan to do something about this. And on the right, you can see the 5 things that we were going to focus on to try and get people to think differently about how they get around. Some of those programs have come and gone. We don't have car sharing anymore, right? But the other ones we continue to promote. We also surveyed people about why or why not they bike to campus and what would make it more likely for them to think about it. And of course, infrastructure was one of the top things: bike lanes, signage, designated routes. secure out of the elements parking. This was way back before we made investments, right? And so more bike racks, those kinds of things were all top of the agenda. So we spent our first year of climate action plan budget on a lot of that infrastructure stuff. Then we also asked people if the university was to start some new programs, which would be the most important one. And free bikes was way up there at 15%. So I'll tell you about that program in a minute. Here's the state of our transportation alternatives today. We have students developed a car-free guide for us that we give out at orientations and things like that. We do provide free bike share on campus. You can check out a bike for the day from our student rec center, or you can borrow one for the entire semester or keep it even longer if you like. These come with a lock and a helmet if you want. And we have now about 300 or so bikes in that fleet. So we have a lot of bikes to give out. We also provide free transit, as we have since 1999. It's gotten a little harder than it used to be. You don't swipe your ID on the bus anymore. Now you got to download the Token Transit app and have a smartphone powered up and ready and all that. So it's a little harder for people, but it is still free. And of course, the multimodality of the TARC system with bike racks on the buses is super important for supporting cycling as well. And then we also provide a free carpool matching platform called Cardinal Directions. It's a service of Ride Amigos, the platform is, and it gives you all of your transportation options and compares relative costs and carbon emissions and calories burned, and provides guidance on safer bike routes as well as potential carpool matching. So that's a really helpful system for people. We also, way back then, developed a first ever campus bike master plan, which had never existed before. This was the work of graduate students in urban and public affairs. Shout out Mark Knoll, who helped out back in those early days with some great ideas about what we could do when he was a student here to improve our bike friendliness. So that plan has helped inform our new actual campus master plan that incorporates cycling a little more seriously. So we began trying to implement that bike master plan way back in the 2013 time, and installed a bunch more bike parking and with 2 points of contact, good racks. We installed do-it-yourself bike fix-it stations. You can see there in red one of them. We installed some pathways on our campus that were designated for bikes, and we started working with KYTC, encouraging Metro to make sure that the roads to and around our campuses were more bike friendly. We've seen incredible improvements there with road diets and new bike facilities. We launched Campus Bike Share back then. That's a picture from the first fleet of 5 bikes that has now grown to 300. And we now have a campus bike shop that's not like as professional, as like customer facing, as highly invested as I'd like to see. If you want to see a really great example, go to the University of Kentucky. They just opened their Wildcat Wheels bike shop in a portion of a parking garage, and it is a top-notch, like $1 million facility. Like that is the way we should be going. But just some pictures and thoughts here about what we do to make life more bike friendly on campus. And it ties to ped friendliness as well. The two are very interchangeable, like the things you do to make things pedestrian friendly often make them more bike friendly as well. So you can see Preston Street cutting through our Health Science Center downtown in the lower right, for example. Putting in that mid-block crossing there is also really helpful for slowing down traffic and making it better for cyclists as well. We've done things over the years to encourage cycling, like right in the middle, you see our annual Welcome Week bike tour of Louisville to get people out on bikes. We have done in the past a pedal with the president. That hasn't happened since James Ramsey left, but I've just gotten a commitment from our new leadership to relaunch this idea in the fall. We'll do pedal with our new provost, Provost Cardarelli, who I work for directly and is very excited. She has a public health background. She's very excited about relaunching this. U of L was also instrumental in getting Luvelo launched, the citywide bike share program that, of course, has gone by the wayside, but we invested some of our climate action plan funding in getting it launched, and then hosted on our campus, both of our campuses, we hosted a bunch of stations, and we encourage people to use it and use the student discount and all that. We've also offered up bikes to employees who are willing to use bikes for their work. So you see a bike we got for the libraries to help with collections circulation, a bike we got for our IT folks who have to scoot about campus to help out with computers and networks and stuff. And they need to haul some stuff, so we got them a tricycle. And then students have also organized in the past. We've had a student bike club, don't have one right now, but at the time they also hosted a team, a cycling team that competed against other bike clubs. And then we also host things like Cycle September. So let me talk a little bit about our annual bike challenges. Through Love to Ride, we encourage people to bike, especially during Bike Month in May, and then again in September. That one's particularly well timed for us in our academic calendar in terms of welcoming people back to campus, encouraging them to think differently about how they get here and set up some good habits and routines. The May Bike Month Challenge is always a challenge for us because campus empties out right after Derby, right? And there's not as many people around, but we still encourage people to ride. And we do try and spread the word about Bike to Work Day when the city organizes a Bike to Work Day event. And then something we overlay on Cycle September is our Cards Commuter Challenge. So we're not just encouraging biking, but all other non-driving alone modes of getting to campus. And we use that Cardinal Directions platform for people to log their trips to be entered to win prizes. So these are both wonderful challenges we do to encourage people to give little prizes and incentives, right? Let me just quickly describe the Earn a Bike program that ran from 2012 to 16 because it was very innovative. We won a national award from ASHE for it. Other schools picked up on this idea, and in fact, the University of Kentucky has adopted it and is currently running a very similar program. These are known as parking cash out programs, basically, where you offer incentives to people to give up their right to a parking permit at the institution. So in our case, what we said was if you give up your right to a U of L parking permit, when these are annual permits, right? If you give it up for at least 2 years, you can apply to get a $400 voucher to spend at a local bike shop. You didn't have to bike to campus. You could get to campus however you wanted, but you wouldn't be allowed to buy a campus parking permit anymore. And you would get this flexible incentive. And this was extraordinarily popular. We got twice as many applicants as we had budget for. We could give away about 400 of these vouchers every year with the Climate Action Plan budget we had at the time. And people loved it, not just students, but faculty and staff. We had people from all over the university, all the campuses applying. And we made sure it was educational. We're an educational institution, so let's not just give people these vouchers and walk away, but let's actually do some bike education. So in order to earn your voucher, you not only had to give up your right to a permit, but you had to come to a class. So we had a 45-minute class about how to use bikes safely and comfortably year-round in Louisville, all Louisville-specific recommendations using Louisville roadways as our test cases for people. And we even did a little quiz before and after to see what people learned, and we had some pretty good results from this. So people don't get this kind of education anywhere else. So it was a super important part of the program. If we try to offer these classes without a $400 incentive, you get 2 or 3 people. It's not worth my effort to organize. So unfortunately, we're not doing them anymore. The flexibility of the program was also very valuable. Here's some stats about what people use the money to buy. Some people were getting a new bike, but a lot of people were also equipping their bike, whether it was new, old, used, whatever, with what they needed to start being a serious bike commuter year-round. And then we asked some questions before and after about how we've actually changed behaviors, and we found pretty darn good results. A lot of people did pick up bicycling as a means of transportation after the program, but they also used multimodal or other strategies as well. So the flexibility of it was super important. That's all I'm going to share with you now, but I'm happy to take any questions or engage in dialogue. I encourage you to check out our website, louisville.edu/sustainability, as well as all our social media platforms to keep up with what's going on here. There's new stuff happening all the time. with sustainability and bikes as well.
Justin, thank you. Congratulations to you, well, and we
Thank
do
you.
hope that you stay in the top tier and this positive trend continues at UofL and also across our community. So do we have questions or any comments for Justin? It looks like you told us everything we need to know.
Looks
Awesome.
gold, looks gold medal worthy to me.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes, good. So thank you again, and we hope to see you next year with more report and progress as well.
Wonderful. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thanks.
So the next item on the agenda is TTCC committee officers for this year. Andy, would you like to say something about progress, and then you'll have Keith to nominate our candidates?
Of course, our TTCC bylaws state that nominating committee is to be established in November of at the end of the year, let's say, in advance of the upcoming year. And so that nominating committee was established at our last meeting. That nominating committee is required to be, or at least our bylaws say that it should be two committee members plus the chairperson. And so Aida and Anna and Keith were made up of the committee for this year's 2026 officers nominating committee. And so our bylaws say that our first meeting of the year, we should nominate a new slate of officers. And so we met earlier this week, and I'll let Keith or Anna or Aida take it from here.
Thank you, Andy. The 2026 TTCC Officers Nominating Committee met earlier this week and is happy to nominate the following slate of TTCC officers for 2026. TTCC Chair Jim Sullivan, Loudoun County Engineer, and TTCC Vice Chair Flannery O'Neill, Assistant Director, Louisville Metro Air Pollution Control District. And I'll put that in the form of a motion.
And I'll second that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Action is requested. Do we need to vote separately on each position?
No, I believe we need to ask if there are any other nominations.
That is correct, yes. Any other nominations today for the officers? Looks like we have our nominees.
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to elect Jim Silliman as a chair of the TTCC committee for this calendar year?
So
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Obviously, we have first and second.
Yep, Larry can be the second. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you. Any discussion? Well, we are happy that Jim is accepting the role. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Jim.
Thank you. I hope I can be as eloquent and thorough as you.
Well, you will be better. Thanks. Do we have a motion to elect Flannery O'Neill as a vice chair of the TTC committee for calendar year 2026?
So move.
Thank you, Anna. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you very much. So we know that Flannery is accepted the nomination. So any comments, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you. I didn't ask any opposed, but I see that everybody is in favor, so motion carries. We congratulate Flannery and we look forward to you guys leading the committee next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 7 is amendments to fiscal year 2025-28 Transportation Improvement Program and Connecting Kentuckiana Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Chris will highlight the proposed changes to the TIP and NTP, and action is requested. Thank you.
Okay. So I have 2 amendments to present this month. We have to Amendment 2, also known as MTP Amendment 11, and to Amendment 3, MTP Amendment 12. These are 2 distinct lists of updates, each with 2 titles and names because of the numbering between the current TIP and current MTP. This link was in my memo, which is in the meeting packet, or you can get it there. or the QR code to view both of those lists. And also, I think our comment map is still connected to that as well. So I'm going to talk about why we have two separate amendments. We don't normally do two at once. We did this for, we don't normally do it for administrative reasons. The amendment 2 list is composed of only projects that don't affect the air quality modeling, and they will not need to go to the federal final review. However, amendment 3 has some projects that will require that extra review once we have TPC approval. And numerous projects were to benefit from doing it that way this time, but we plan to go back to our full amendment schedule next time. Also share that there are 23 projects in amendment 2 and 5 projects in amendment 3. Several of the updates come from a recent review that we did internally of MTP only projects. Those are projects that did not have TIP funding yet, and they had open to public dates of 2025, 2026, 2027, with them not having TIP funding yet. KIPTA staff reached out to those particular sponsors to get kind of a status update and see whether or not we needed to update the open to public date or keep the projects in the plan. Both amendment project lists were reviewed by the IAC and underwent the same public comment period. And we will be requesting recommendation from TTCC for TPC approval later this month. Following the approval from the TPC, I will be sending amendment 2 out to the highway departments for the STIP updates. The others will go, like I said, to the federal final review. This is our general amendment timeframe slide. I've shown this before. Really, sponsors get 5 to 15 days. Some of you know, we usually give you a little bit more, but this is our general guideline that all amendments follow. And this is our active amendment timeline. Those in the red, it starts with today, our TTCC recommendation that we're going to ask for. And then we just have that TPC action and federal review for amendment 3 left. Okay, our amendment updates. Typically, those are the project updates ineligible for administrative modification, usually due to regional significance, scale of the update, or potential effect on the air quality model. If anyone ever has any questions on that, please let me know. Most of you are familiar with it. Okay, so I'll start with amendment 2, again, / MTP amendment 11, the Indiana projects. So we have, I think that's just. Here we are. In Clark County, we have 2 project updates. One is a new project. It is for the Bethany Road and CR 403 intersection improvement. There's a potential roundabout included in that, and updates to funding and total project cost for CR 311 and Sellersburg improvement project. That's an existing project. Then we have a few in Floyd County. We have 3 projects included in the MTP that are simply moving the open to public date out. Those are KIPTA IDs 2032, 2103, and 3075. And then we also have a Old Vincennes Road Phase 3 project, which currently was in the MTP only. We are putting that one in the TIP with some local funds that we reported. Next, I have one in New Albany, the Mount Tabor Road project, which is KIPTA ID 309. That one is removing the TIP funding. Then I have several NDOT projects. Got 3194, that one is being removed. We have a new AASHTO software safety project. There's one that is creating safety improvement. We're creating a safety improvement parent project from KIPTA ID 3431. That one is going to become the parent, and then we'll have a new child to the TIP that specifically is SR 62 and Utica Sellersburg Road. And then we have KIPT ID 2899, which is the I-64 added travel lane project. That one is getting some funding updates. Substantial funding updates. Okay. Next, I'll go to the Kentucky projects in Amendment 2. We have a Jeffersontown, two projects. We are removing and relinquishing the fundings from KIPTA IDs 3110 and 3109. KYTC, we have a project that is funding and open to public date changes for two I-65 bridge projects. Those are the ones at Jacob, Broadway, and Gray, and then another one at Brook and Muhammad Ali. Then in Middletown, we have the South Madison Avenue project. So that project previously was a parent project. We're gonna go ahead and remove the old parent ID and add the project to the tip so that it's just its own standalone project. And then we have in Louisville Metro, River Road Multimodal Improvement Project from 3rd Street to 7th Street. That one is getting some updating to the total cost and adding additional construction dollars and re-entering the tip. Okay, I'm gonna continue on with metro projects. We're removing two MTP only projects. These are KIPTA IDs 3084 and 3095. Both of these projects, I still have more details to come, but it's likely that they will be replaced, and you might see them in the next amendment coming up with a more updated description, but we're removing them as they are right now. Then I have two of the Olmsted Parkways multi-use path projects, sections 6 and 7. These are simply just getting updates to the total estimated project cost and the open to public dates. I've got in Oldham County KIPTA ID 321. That one's just getting an update to the total estimated project cost and some of the tip funding. We have a project in Prospect. This is another one of those MTP only projects. We're just going ahead and updating the open to public date a little farther out. And then I have one TARC project. It's a parent project. And this is the section 5310 parent project. That one, we're updating the funding and it administratively, we're adding all of the new 2025 child projects to that parent project. Okay, so that concludes Amendment 2. And then I have a shorter list for TIP Amendment 3, MTP Amendment 12. That one, we have one NDOT project. It is KIPTA ID 2964, SR 60 intersection improvement roundabout. This is an update to the exemption status. It previously was listed as exempt. We need to make that one non-exempt and add it to the model scenarios. We have a Louisville Metro project, McNeely Park Road, and that one is KIPTA ID 1823. That one, we are removing the project because much of the work is already covered by a different McNeely Lake Park project, KIPTA ID 2539. Then we have for KYTC, KIPTA ID 3165, US 60 Long Run Road to Locust Park Place. That project is being replaced by a new project called US 60 Eastwood to Jefferson Shelby County line. Very similar project. Yeah, KIPTA ID 2606. We're adding the existing MTP project to the tip and updating the open to public date. And finally, the big one, we have US 31 Clark Memorial Bridge project. This project was added as a group project just a few months ago, I think in November. It was going to be a bridge maintenance project, but some additional details came in and we added that one to this amendment. I'm gonna read, there was a bit of a change to the description. I'm gonna read what the new description is. So it's repairs and reconfiguration of Clark Memorial Bridge over the Ohio River. It's a joint project with Indiana. Project includes lane reduction from 4 lanes to 3 lanes with one southbound and 2 northbound lanes. And that concludes my project list. I'm open to any questions, and then we'll need to do action, I think, for the 2 separate amendments.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Any discussion, comments or questions for Chris?
All right.
Thank you. So do we have a motion as presented today for amendment number 2 to fiscal year 25-28 tip? To move forward to TPC for final approval.
So moved.
Thank you, Keith. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, that's great. Any further discussion? Do we have any comments from? No, okay. Well, thank you. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. The second motion is to recommend to TPC approval of the amendment 3 as presented today, fiscal year 25-28 TIP program, and amendment 12 to Connecting Kentuckiana Transportation Plan. Do we have a motion?
I'll make
Is
the
it-
motion.
Yeah. We have Isidro. And second,
I'll second.
thank you very much. Any further discussion? All in favor to approve amendment 3 as presented today? Thank you. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thanks.
Thank you all.
Item number 8 on the agenda is cost increases, and Brady will provide the latest MPO cost increase requests. Action will be requested.
Ready to go? Announcement was made, for the next round of MPO dedicated cost increase requests for fiscal year $26. In December 17th, PIP staff received actually 13 MPO cost increase applications totaling over $15 million. The only amount that we have available for fiscal year 26 is $1.1 million, as you can see in the bullet point there. So a lot more requests than we had available. I'll get into that here in just a second. Just as a reminder of the cost increase reserve process for Kentucky. Every quarter, there is a call for projects to request cost increases to access this cost increase reserve as necessary as authorized. Sponsors are also able to apply for these dollars at any point in time, but these calls are to at least have a certain set time to remind everyone in case they're losing track of how much money they need for these projects. So where we're at here is this latter stage in December for fiscal year 26. This is the second opportunity for cost increase fiscal year 26 for the cost increase reserve schedule. All right, this is a list of all of the applications that we received. You'll notice they're all from KYDC. So KYDC basically has a lot of cost increases. They sent them all in, and they understand that there's only a certain amount available. But they went ahead and sent in all their requests to inform the staff and the TPCC and TPC, just that they have projects that have recently, many of them have recently completed their preliminary engineering stage or design phase 1 that gives them better estimates going forward for the cost of some of these projects. So they went ahead and submitted all of them. And KIPP staff has worked with KYTC to put together a little bit of priority of which projects on this list A, have a request that we can fund with our budget available. B, need the money sooner rather than later to continue to progress these projects. And we will talk about the funding of the ones that aren't funded at this time at a later date, a later process, whether it be a future call for projects or future cost increase reserve process. Okay, a quick list, these requests here. The first one is KIP ID 230. This is a US 42 project over at Prospect. There's a few different phases that are requesting funds for US 42. First one is a design phase. The original design phase for this project was actually authorized back in fiscal year 24. KIPTA programmed $928,000 for design. At the time, KYDC only had to authorize $800,000 of federal dollars for design. So the under authorized typically in our project management guidebook rules, a project sponsor, if they don't need as much money for a project in an earlier phase, but they do need more money for a later phase, they can shift that remaining funding to a later phase. Need more right away, less in design. That's something that you can do within a project. So KYC under authorized in 24, but we never went through the process of shifting it to a later phase at that time. So there was $128,000 extra that was never authorized. Well, now KYC does need that money. And so this would be a high priority from KIPTA staff's perspective in terms of funding this cost increase request, because it's something that the TPC had previously agreed to do in the first place anyways. Later phases are a result of what I mentioned earlier, the project moving along in its design phase with a recent cost estimate. Next project is KIPTA ID 1879. It's on Kentucky Highway 864. And there are requests for design and utility phase here for this project. And Tom, are these just updated cost estimates? Do you have any details on the need for that particular project?
You know, it's just additional costs as we're moving through the utility phase and preparing the project for a construction letting. We need a little bit more money to finish out the design plans and get them ready for the letting. And then our utility costs were very high on the project, and it's just a sort of a relatively small amount of additional utility dollars needed.
Thank you. And KOAC recently authorized about 800,000 federal state dollars for utilities, and this is requesting a little bit in addition to what was previously authorized fairly recently. Next project on here is KIPTA ID 188 English Station Road. This is the same situation as US 42, finished PE phase, have updated cost estimates. And so, yeah, they have the updated estimates there for design and construction. And then KIPTA ID 3069 for Lane and KIPTA ID 3042 on Kentucky Highway 2055. Those projects have both also completed PE and have updated cost estimates. So that's where these numbers are all coming from. Based on discussion with KIPTA staff or KYC staff, the recommendation from KIPTA is to grant cost increase requests to these four phases here. So the design phase increase for US 42, I mentioned previously, as well as the design phase and utility phase for KIPTA ID 1879 and the design phase for English Station Road 188. Granting cost increase to all these projects will keep these projects on schedule and still leave some dollars remaining for the rest of fiscal year 26. So those four in total would add up to $834,000, still leaving $299,019 remaining for the rest of this fiscal year. Any questions?
Thank you, Brady. Any discussion, questions?
So the action requested then to approve those four cost increase requests as per.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to move this item forward to TPC for final approval as presented today by Brady?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jim. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks. Any further discussion? Hearing done, all in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thanks. And the next item is project management guidebook development. Brady will talk to us about the latest timeline on update of the PMG.
Every few years, we take a look at the project management guidebook. Last update was 2 years ago. Project management guidebook is intended to provide guidance to the TTCC and TPC for programming and managing KIPTA's dedicated projects. This document outlines KIPTA's called project process, policies for dedicated projects in regards to cost overruns, like we just performed just now with the SDBG cost increase reserve in Kentucky, schedule changes and other procedures for tracking and reporting on our sub-allocated funds. It's time to review that document again. So the proposed schedule would be to form a working group to start taking a look at KIPTA's project management guidebook to see what changes may need to be made, if any. The plan is to have 3 meetings. First one being in February. This first February meeting is intended to actually not talk about the project management guidebook, it's talk about all the other aspects of project development that aren't related to KIPTA's rules, that have sometimes, or perhaps most of the time, even a greater effect on our ability to deliver projects. Okay, and then we'll have projects scheduled in March and April. Those will be more centered on the actual EMG update process. But what I need today is permission to form that TTCC working group and start scheduling these meetings for discussion.
Thank you, Brady. Do we have a motion to form working group for the project management guidebook update?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Anna. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks. Any discussion?
Brady, you want to say just real quick about who would be a part of this and in essence, the open invitation?
Sure. So, TTC working groups typically have 5 static members. So that includes NDOT representative, KYTC representative, park representative, Louisville Metro representative, and a KIPTA representative. And there are 2 rotating members from Indiana and Kentucky. And so for this working group, we need to have those members involved, but this is a region-wide issue. And so if you are interested in participating in these discussions, you are certainly invited to come and participate. We'd like to have as many voices from different perspectives in both states as possible. I think it's fair to say most of the discussion for the guidebook update will be on the Kentucky side, where we have a lot more flexibility in how we manage things. However, the perspectives we gain from our Indiana participants bring it up as neutral parties bringing a different perspective. So we like to have as many voices as we can participate. And I'll be emailing out invitation and the reminders about this as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we had a motion, we had discussion. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. So moving along, item number 10, Brady again, connecting Kentuckiana 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan goals and objectives. So we will discuss goals and objectives for the ongoing update of the MPP.
As Spencer Williams announced a few months ago, KIPTA is in the process of updating our long-range plan, our Metropolitan Transportation Plan. One of the first steps of that, we're doing a bunch of things, including a lot of data analysis right now behind the scenes. But one of the most important aspects to, at the beginning of the process, is to establish the goals and objectives of the region. Goals are the big G, and objectives go with under goals. And then once we determine our goals and objectives, we can assign performance measures, and based on all of our goals, objectives, and performance measures, that tells us how we prioritize our projects in our long range plan. So it's very important structural process to do the MTP development. Our current MTP, Connecting Kentuckiana 2050, was adopted in May of 2023, so just a few years ago. And that process involved a robust stakeholder involvement process. There was a different working group at that time that came up with our current MTP goals and objectives. This new MTP that we're currently developing is going to have the same horizon year as our current MTP. So we're making a new MTP, but it's still only going out to 2050 as our horizon. In KIPTA staff's opinion, the realities of the KIPTA region and the goals of the TTCC and the TPC are not significantly different than they were a few years ago, and we're looking towards the same long-range horizon here. And so what we have done is basically taken our current goals and objectives and modified them a little bit as a potential draft to stick towards the same goals and objectives the group has had previously. So I'm going to present some of those here. And the draft of these goals and objectives is in your memo, in your packet here, or the agenda. They're going to be very similar to the current goals that we have. Most of the proposed adjustments by staff here are only needed to meet certain recent federal requirements, including a variety of executive orders, namely one of them being 14151. And there are a few project evaluation criteria and topics within the development of the planning process that we're not supposed to include. Included but not limited to talking about climate change, environmental justice, equity, and sustainability. So these are, the draft is making changes, make us federally compliant, but keeping within the same intent of the goals and objectives of our current one. Okay, so I'm going to go through and just kind of highlight some of what these changes are with you, if you would like to follow me along here. So the first section here is safety. The goal clarification, the only thing that's changed here is increased safety of all users. That's what the current goal is. And this is just clarifying of the transportation system. Nothing significant there. All the objectives under the safety goal are identical. We didn't change anything to what we have in the current MTP. Okay. Next one, the current goal in our Kentucky Connecting Kentuckiana 2050 was sustainability, and to invest in sustainable transportation that protects environmental resources and minimizes the effect of climate change. There are a few things in there that we can't have with our new MTP. The suggestion here is to go from sustainability to the idea of stewardship, to minimize transportation-related fuel consumption, air pollution, and sensitive area impacts. The shift of the term goals and objectives here are moving towards other federal programs that are still active, like the CMAQ program or NEPA evaluation or our air quality compliance statuses that HIP was required to have. So focusing more on keeping environmental stewardship as a focus, while kind of changing how we talk about it a little bit. The next goal here is accessibility. Foster an accessible and fair transportation system. The only adjustment in the goal here is two things. This goal was originally equity, to foster an accessible and equitable transportation system. The change is accessibility for equity and fair for equitable transportation system. One redundant objective has been removed because it's already stated under the new stewardship goal. In the previous MTP, there were two objectives in each under each goal that were basically the same thing, so we eliminated the redundant one. And it's still, that redundancy is still in, under I believe it's stewardship objective C right now, big draft. The other four objectives remain largely the same with some slight adjustments that include KIPTA's newly approved transportation impact areas and focuses on transportation access and vocal participation and access within the entire region as a driver. Next goal, economic development. Current goal proposed is exactly the same as what we have in our 50. Objectives A, C, and E are also identical to the current objectives. And then objective B substitutes this from sustainable with reliable and incorporates KIPTA's newly approved transportation impact areas, which have different criteria than KIPTA's previous environmental justice areas. The next goal here is an effective roadway system. It's the same exact goal as our current MTP. Objective C adds per capita. Here, read that out. So it's stabilize and decrease vehicle miles traveled per capita. Because we don't want to have an objective that is in juxtaposition to our economic development objective. We want the area to grow. We want more people to come and live in the region, but we also want our vehicle miles traveled to be under control. And so a per capita helps to fulfill both goals. And then all the other objectives here are exactly the same as our current MTP. The next goal is strengthen public transit. All of these are exactly the same goals and objectives are the same as what we currently have. The next goal here is expand active transportation. The current goal, once again, exactly the same. Objectives A, C, and D are also exactly the same. Objective B is a slight error how it's written in your packet. It includes pedestrian facilities under objective B when it doesn't really need that. It just should say bicycle facilities because pedestrian facilities are already included under objective A. So that would be corrected. Okay, and a resilient region. The current goal is exactly the same, and the objectives A, B, C, and D, and E are all exactly the same. Objective F discusses the need for system redundancy in the same way that our current objective does, but it also adds alternative form of transportations as a means to increase system resiliency. So I'll leave that right here. That's how it's written here. Prioritize redundant infrastructure and support connection to alternative modes to increase system resiliency. Objective G pivots from a climate change focus toward more natural disaster mitigation or extreme weather preparedness. And then the other, not mention a reliable freight network in here as well. There's but there are no adjustments to the objectives or goals of the reliable freight network as well as the same as the current. So there are 9 total goals with all their objectives as listed on here in the packet. Are there any questions that anyone has about these proposed changes?
Looks like no questions, but from anyone online maybe? You explained that very well, thank you.
Okay, so KIPTA staff would recommend a recommendation to approve these goals and objectives. Recommend approval for the TPC for these goals and objectives for the new 2027 MTP.
So action is requested today? Okay, thank you.
If this committee would like to let these marinate for a month, our schedule would allow for that, yes. Okay, so if it's a, hey, this is a lot, I wanna take this back, or I wanna make some comments, we can do that too. It's kind of, hopefully it can be one or the other here, right now. That is, wow, these look great, let's go with these, or yeah, these look pretty good, let me sit on it for a little bit, let me sleep on it and come back in February, and it won't inhibit our schedule anyway, is that right?
That's fair.
Of course,
I think I'm comfortable. It sounds well thought out and
right.
already prepared. I'm comfortable making a motion to approve this now. Okay.
Sounds great. So motion is at the table,
Second that.
that we already have a second, great, thank you, all in favor, say aye, raise your hands,
Aye.
thank you, any opposed? Motion carries,
Thank you.
so we're forward to PPC, thank you, Brady. Item number 11, annual listing of obligated projects, and Chris will provide an update on this stuff.
A little bit of a shorter presentation on this one. So. Our clear 2025 ALOP. I can go ahead and start by telling you all what is an ALOP, if you're wondering, the annual listing of obligated projects. Well, we obviously do this every year. So, which projects? All the projects within the metropolitan planning area, the MPA boundary, that had federally funded obligations in fiscal year 2025 are included in this list. And the list is in the actual ALOP is in all your packets. So this includes the MPO dedicated funding, but also other federal funding. Why are we doing this? We're required to produce a listing within 90 days of the fiscal year end and make available online. It's required by FHWA and FTA. Indiana fiscal year ends first, as most of you know. Kentucky's ended second, and so we did the Indiana one. I think we had until the end of September to finish, and then we finished the full ALOP at the end of December. So that's when I'm presenting it finally now in January. It's on the tip page also, and that's where we're moving until we replace it next. Okay, so I'll start in fiscal year 2025, Indiana, Clark County, there was 28,484,825 obligated. Lloyd County, there was a little over 118 million. Multi-county, so there were some projects every year when I get these back from MnDOT. There's some that are in Floyd and Clark County. So we had a little over 12.2 million that fit in that category. And total in Indiana, we had 158,712,085. So that concludes Indiana. Next, Kentucky and Bullitt County, we had 9.2 million obligated. Jefferson County, we had $328.5 million obligated. Oldham County, 2.7. So for a total in Kentucky, there was $340.5 million obligated. Then can't forget about transit. There was $46.4 million obligated. The complete total for 2025 within the full MPA boundary was $545.6 million within the KIPTA region. Overall, between fiscal year 24 and 25, there's a substantially more money was obligated in our region. So I'm going to show you all fiscal year 24 and then also a comparison between the two. Okay, so the ALOP last time in Clark County, we had $43.4 million obligated. Lloyd, we had 62.6. The multi-county category, we had a little over $1 million obligated. The total for Indiana was $107 million. Bullock County, 17.7, Jefferson County, just 65.5, Oldham County, 12.7. The Kentucky total was a little over $96 million. And then transit was $38.6 million. The complete total for 2024 within the MPA was $241.8 million. Okay, so the difference is now. Clark County was down almost $15 million. However, Floyd County was up $55.4 million. And then the multi-county was up a little over $11 million. So Indiana in total was up $51.6 million. Then in Kentucky, Bullitt was down $8.5 million. Jefferson was up $262.9 million. And then Oldham was also down $10 million. But Kentucky in total was up $244.4 million. Transit also up 7.7, basically $7.8 million. The complete MPA total difference was up over $300 million. A large portion of that went towards I-65 bridge project obligations. So this probably is not going to be typical, but that is what occurred in fiscal year 2025. And that's all I've got for you guys. It's just information only. If anyone has any questions, I can try to answer them about the process or how those figures are calculated.
The data in the KIPTA ALOP and NPO ALOPs around the state and around the country, I suppose, it's only as good as the data that comes in through the feds and through the state DOT. So some of these things are volatile for all the reasons Chris just mentioned, like, hey, one or two big obligations equals a game changer.
Right. Exactly, one large project changes dynamic.
But can't think of a good reason why we aren't really appreciative of 200 and some extra million dollars, what it was, 300 if I'm there, 300 and some extra $1 million. We can dream about that happening again this year, but that may or may not be the case.
Sounds good. Any other questions or comments for Chris? Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
Appreciate the report. Okay. Next item is Safe Streets and Roads for All funding, and staff will discuss Nick, funding opportunities for Safe Streets for All. Thank you.
Good afternoon. The Safe Streets and Roads for All grant program recently announced awards for 2025. Nationwide, there were 67 implementation grants awarded. In Kentucky, the city of Elizabethtown received a $7.1 million implementation grant. And that's on top of a $11.1 million implementation grant that they got in 2024. In Indiana, the city of Beech Grove near Indianapolis received $17 million for a proposal, including the conversion of 4 intersections to roundabouts. And several planning grants were also awarded in both Kentucky and Indiana. This year in 2026, there'll be an additional $1 billion available. Last year, the notice of funding opportunity was released in March and the application deadline was in June. This year may possibly follow a similar schedule, so it's time to start thinking about any possible applications. The 16 jurisdictions that finalized their safety action plans last year with KIPTA are eligible to apply for implementation grants. Projects should be on the high-end green network with a history of serious crashes. Proven safety countermeasures should be low cost and high impact. Budgets will be required as well as a 20% local match. However, in Kentucky, there is a match assistance program that may reduce that local match considerably. I believe in Jefferson, Bullitt, and Oldham, I think it's 5%. Please reach out to us if you're interested in applying for a Safe Streets and Roads for All implementation grant, or if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Always good to hear that Safe Streets for All are moving forward and the projects are supported. That's really, really important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You remind me you said it reduces at 215 to 5%.
So that what would have been 20 for the local government in the larger Kentucky counties, of which Bullitt, Jefferson, and Oldham are all the larger Kentucky counties, it takes that 20% down to 5%. That's what we call it, the grant program of 2024.
Great. Thank you. Moving along, MPO dedicated funding adjustment, Brady will provide programming adjustment for projects in Indiana.
Greg's pulling that up, I'm not sure. Nick mentioned it or not, but ARATC also has a TA, statewide TA application period that closes on January 19th, I believe. Is that right?
That sounds right. That sounds right to me. Yeah, so that's, remember, in Kentucky, we have, there's the statewide TA and then the KIPTA dedicated TA. So, you know, two very similar processes, you know, same criteria. But, if it's one of those things where if the state wants to spend some of the statewide money in our region, that's perfectly fine by us. Of course it is. But some people elsewhere in the state might say, hey, hang on a minute, y'all got your own type of thing. So,
But I believe we're eligible.
we are indeed eligible. Absolutely. We're 100% eligible for it. Yes, indeed.
Do we know how much funding is available under TA by state?
Not off the top of the head,
Okay,
but I could find that information.
thank you.
That's one of the programs that is run or coordinated in Frankfurt from the Office of Local Programs.
Right.
So TA and CMAC are both are run through that office. in
Correct.
Frankfurt.
Yeah, most of the time it's not dramatically big amount of money and it has to be spread statewide, correct? Right.
That's right. That's right. We are very thankful that we get those dollars dedicated or sub-allocated to us so that we
Exactly.
have some under the TPC's control.
Absolutely, thank you. Brady?
Thank you. So the first few slides here are going to be mostly informational, and then the last slide will be a action item on the Indiana project. These first few things I'm gonna share are from Kentucky that are regarding our MPO dedicated projects. These are 3 updates for metro projects here. KIPTA ID 1809 was a project that authorized design funds recently. They only needed $80,000, but we had programmed $219,900 dollar fee. So I mentioned in my previous agenda item that if project sponsors authorize less than they have programmed, but they have needs to fund later phases of the project, that's typically allowed. However, in the cases of KIPTA ID 1809 and KIPTA ID 2980, those first two, there was no need at this time for additional funds for later phases. So the extra money that wasn't authorized is going to go back into the SDPG pot for the 1809 project and back to the CRP pot for the 2980, and that will be available in the next 12 projects for those funding sources. The next one here is the same situation as KIPTA ID 2086. Programmed $2 million of CRP funds for design phase. Metro only needed $680,000 for design. There is a need for construction for this project. However, the need for construction is around $10 million for construction. And so while there is some money left over, about $1.4 million, it's not enough to be able to put it towards construction because Metro would then have to commit to fund the remaining 90% of it locally, and they're not prepared to do that at this time. And so the extra funding not used for design will also go back into the CRP pot of money and will be available to compete for in the next 12 projects. One other project, slightly different, but similar situation. Metro only needed $480,000 for a construction phase for KIPTA ID 2116. We have programmed $826,000. For now, we're going to keep these funds programmed in our program in case there are issues with construction later on where they may need more money. It's going to be available for them without having to go through the big process. However, once we get to the point of the next call for projects, that we're going to make a decision. If they don't need it by that time, we're probably going to put that back in the pot to recompete for that additional funding for the CRP dollars there. So some updates from Louisville Metro projects. And then another couple other tracking sheet adjustments to be aware of. There were a couple projects that KOHC over authorized some dollars beyond what the TPC had programmed. As you can see there, for 800,000 for utility phase of fiscal year 25 for KIPTA ID 1879 and then KIPTA ID 213. The Chinook Lane project over authorized some dollars for construction. But KIPTA has worked for KOHC and kind of rectified that situation. So the over authorized dollars were replaced with state dollars. And so we're all good in our tracking sheet. There is no issues in regards to over authorization of those projects. Okay, those are the ones that were just kind of information only, and then this is the item that will need action today. Clark County has a project, their Henryville Sidewalks project, get the ID 3180. They have a 2029 construction phase currently programmed, $520,661 of protect dollars for this project. However, Clark County fairly recently received state dollars to fund the construction, utilities and construction engineering phases in fiscal year 2031. And so they don't need construction in 29 if they have all the other dollars in fiscal year 31, but they do need some right of way dollars. And so their proposal is to swap the existing construction dollars that we have programmed in 29 to right of way phase dollars. This has already been discussed at the previous Indiana quarterly group where we look at these that happened in November, where we discussed the Indiana MPO dedicated projects. And that group decided by consensus that this would be acceptable to them. So the action would be requested to recommend the proposed Indiana program adjustment.
Thank you. Any questions for Brady? Comments? We do have a motion, we do have a proposal for a motion, action to recommend approval of proposed Indiana program adjustments. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
thank you, Jim. Any further discussion? All in favor? So, well, hopefully these are some side comments. So, anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Brady. We were very active at the beginning of the meeting, making motions in multiple seconds. So right now, I guess everybody's tired after a year and a half, but much appreciated what we have done today. So we get to the point of other business, and
I have a few announcements, and at first, Ms. Claire Euler from Kentucky DAQ, she had something for other business. Claire, do you mind hopping on and saying, kind of confirming to the group, because the group can't necessarily see the chat. I can see it, Greg can see it, a few of us can. If you want to clarify that, that'd be fine, or otherwise I can read what you said.
Yeah, sure. This is Claire Euler from the Kentucky Division for Air Quality, and it came to our attention that there was an article that went out, and I think maybe, WHAS 11, the Louisville News outlet, that reformulated gas had been approved for removal in the Louisville area, and that has not yet happened. It is currently still with EPA pending approval. So either someone from our organization or someone from the Metro Air Pollution Control District will definitely let you all know. They did get that confused. The WHAS 11 reporter got it confused with a different action happening somewhere else in the state. So I just wanted to clear that up in case anyone saw that and was curious. Hopefully we'll have a decision, and they are still hoping to have that done by the 2026 fuel season, but we haven't heard anything more. So if you saw that article, apologies for any confusion, and hopefully that clears anything up.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
Just so everybody knows that KIPTA is working with Claire's counterparts up at IDEM about the potential of removing the reformulated gas, or I think it's called reduced reed vapor pressure gasoline that must be sold in our southern Indiana communities. please don't quote me on this, but as I understand it, the reformulated gas that has been required on the Kentucky side of the Louisville region is, it must be cleaner. Those requirements require a cleaner blend than in Indiana, and so therefore, Indiana fueling stations have been using the gasoline that is into the market here, and that's fine, that's good. But if reformulated gasoline is removed from the Kentucky marketplace, well, that puts the Indiana gas station perhaps in a bit of a pickle unless those requirements get removed from there. So that's still to be determined, still needs approval, but it's probably also in the works, but a little bit behind the Kentucky side, let's say that. So probably more news on that probably within the next few months, or at least sometime this year.
Thank you, Andy.
I have a couple other announcements, and one, I want to recognize several people that just missed on the roll call. Larry Summers, we heard from him earlier. He seconded a motion from New Albany. Arthur Jones from Shepherdsville. Brian Eaton and Tracy Lovell, both from KYTC. District 5, both from D5. Isidro Delgado, we heard from him. He's from KYTC Central Office. Mike King from Louisville Metro. Rachel Hamilton from Louisville Metro Air Pollution Control District, and Vince Robinson from TARC. I want to recognize all those folks for being here today. Thank you all for being here today. By my count, by my tally, we had 20 voting member agencies here today. That's a big number. So thank you all for being here. And that's not 20 people, that's 20 agencies. There's multiple people from multiple agencies here today.
Let's
So
hope it sets the trend for this year.
I hope so too. I hope so too. So thank you all for that. Another announcement is, I think I mentioned this before, but I don't know, it's been so long since we've met, but every 4 years, KIPTA or the MPO or the Metropolitan Planning Process in the Louisville urbanized area, let me be more specific, gets what's known as a federal certification review. Our last one was in the summer of 2022. Therefore, we're due for one by the summer of this year, 2026. So we've been working with our friends at Federal Highways Kentucky Division. And I just want to pencil this in on everybody's calendar that certification review is going to be, is highly likely to be on the week of May 5th through 7th. May 5th through 7th. So it'll be a Kentucky Derby hangover party here at KIPTA. The certification review, again, it's not of KIPTA staff necessarily, but it's of the process. It's of the process that's administered at this table by the TPC, which includes the TTCC's activities. How do we handle the ALOPs, the TIPs, the project funding, the project management guidebook? Many of you all have been a part of that in the past, and I hope you all will join us for that. It usually involves a hearing of some sort in this room where our friends from the various federal agencies will be here and they'll ask us about, we'll have an agenda covering the TIP for a little while, the MTP, our work programs, etc. So that'll happen. It also will include a public hearing, and Greg will be working with our Federal Highways folks. And we'll get the meetings place schedule. We'll put it on a TARC bus line, etc. Make sure that those that want to participate can participate. And then the second day, what we should expect is that those folks, our federal partners, will issue what they like to call the preliminary findings. Hey, that we've done the review, and keep in mind, some of that review is going on probably right now, or now before May 5th, let's say, the desk audit, if you will. And so we'll get some of those findings. It will, for those that have been a part of it in the past, it sure does look like instead of a day or two or day and a half, two-day event, it's going to be compressed a little bit. So it'll be a little bit shorter than it has been. That's okay. That'll be fine. That'll be fine. Because so much of the resources are online, right? And so that probably does make it easier. So again, May 5th through 7th, KIPTA Federal Certification Review. I want to put that on everybody's calendar. Another update, again, we're pent up with updates and action items today. You all heard me talk about the Federal Railroad Administration grant that KIPTA was awarded a while back now, well over a year ago. There are some signs of life on that. I'm happy to announce. For those that don't recall, we submitted our deliverables for what's known as step 1 of that process. FRA has a step 1, 2, 3 process, and then and only then can you build stuff really. We submitted our step 1 deliverables about a year ago, and so we sent them up there, and we hadn't heard anything basically since then. And so we were quicker than most. So we sent ours in before many of the other corridor representatives had sent theirs, and that probably plays into this a little bit. But within the past few months, we got word from the Federal Railroad Administration that, you know, it's not dead yet, and it's not, and no reason to believe it's dead, but that they are changing some of what's known as the step 2 requirements. The step 2 in the FRA world is what's known as an SDP, service development plan. So it's a robust analysis that is the kind of the guts of a planning process for a railroad corridor, passenger rail corridor. And so I think probably what has happened is they got all the scope, schedules, and budgets for all the step 2s from around the country, not just ours, and they said, hang on a minute, those are going to be really expensive to do and to perform. And so they've actually changed and scaled back some of the requirements for the service development plan. So we are likely to be proceeding before too long on what's known as a core SDP, a core service development plan. And so it'll be a little more streamlined than perhaps what was expected. So therefore we're working with them now on getting some changes, kind of refitting what we submitted and making sure that we're good to go whenever the time's right and whenever we get that approval. So that is good news. I view this good news, at least.
Very good news.
I also want to introduce, we had the Brady and Chris show, and Mick, you all know Mick too, I think. But I want to introduce Darian Cook. Darian Cook's back there sitting between Chris and Aaron Maselli. Darian is our newest MTP, or our newest KIPTA transportation planner. And so before too long, I don't know when it's going to be, but it'll be before too long. We'll see Darian up at that podium. So I look forward to you all getting to meet Darian. Darian, you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you all. I'm excited to be a part of the KIPTA team, and I look forward to working with all of you. So yeah, it's nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have Darian here. And also, I don't believe we had the privilege of introducing Alex Gossman. Alex is working in our GIS department. So Alex is working hand in hand with the MPO planners on all the things, on some of that behind the scenes stuff that Brady was mentioning earlier, kind of data development, GIS development. And so we're thrilled to have Alex and Darian here. So
always big job.
Absolutely. And then last but not least, we need to recognize somebody here today. We need to recognize our outgoing TTCC chairperson, Miss Aida Kovic. As you all know, she's been, you know, I mentioned a year or two ago, I mentioned like a Mount Rushmore or a Hall of Fame with the TTCC, and there's no doubt that Mr. Jim Urban remains on that list. And I do not want to take anything away from Mr. Jim Urban, but there's no doubt that at least in the last decade or two, that Aida's right up there on that Mount Rushmore. And Aida is retiring soon. And so this is going to be your last meeting altogether? Last meeting altogether. And so not just as an outgoing chairperson, but also as such a stalwart and a reliable member of this committee that's sat out there and has set up here too. And nobody's a better friend to KIPTA than Aida. And so I want to recognize her. And we've got a token of our approval or our appreciation. Got you a little slugger bat that recognizes here 2025 KIPTA TTCC chair. So thank you very much, Aida.
Thank you so much. Thank you. If I just may say that it has been a privilege to be member of this committee for more than 20 years, and this past year to serve as your chair, to see so many projects completed and so many to still to be done. And it was great working with all of you, with public agencies that represent the city, and this committee working together is well positioned to make a difference, to improve so many programs and make a change. And that change sometimes comes slow, but it does happen, as Chris presented, so many more funding obligated this year, and every year is a progress. And special thanks to Andy and KIPTA team, the entire team, who led us through so many processes over the years and always provided everything we needed to know to make informed decisions. So I truly appreciated this time. Congratulations to new leadership. And I will miss you all, so I may just come here as a public and sit there and ask you hard questions. Thank you, I truly appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes any other business that I have, but
yeah.
Just add, I look forward to hearing what you have to contribute tomorrow morning with the Kentuckians for Better Transportation.
Oh, yes. Oh, wow. Okay. Yes. For those that didn't know, there's the KBT conference this week. Yes. I think I'm on the agenda. Yes, I know I'm on the agenda. Yes, so 10 o'clock to 10:55, if I'm not mistaken, there's a topic about planning. So myself, my counterpart from Lexington MPO, his name is Chris Avila. And then also Mikhail Pelfrey, who some of you all know, or many of you all know, the director of the Division of Planning at KYTC. I guess we're the three-person panel. It's gonna be led by somebody from the Texas Transportation Institute. So we'll be talking a little bit about MPOs and you guys know all the stuff I have to say. Y'all know Westfield. But many of the other participants, hopefully, they'll learn something from us tomorrow. Thanks for recognizing.
Wonderful. Great. Any other comments or discussion for today before we make a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn? Thank you. Second?
Thanks.
Well, I guess all in favor. Thank you very much for today and for all the years that I've been here together with you. Thanks.